Welcome back to the Mormon Truth Podcast, where we tackle big questions about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with honesty, respect, and faith. Today, we're diving into one of the most discussed historical questions in Latter-day Saint circles. What's the deal with the Book of Abraham and the Egyptian papyri? If you've heard that the papyri date too long after Abraham lived and you're wondering if that's a problem, stick around. All right, here's a straightforward history. In 1835, Joseph Smith obtained Egyptian mummies and papyrus scrolls from a traveling exhibitor named Michael Chandler. Joseph announced that one scroll contained the writings of Abraham. Between 1835 and 1842, he produced the Book of Abraham, published it with 3 facsimiles, and it eventually became part of our Pearl of Great Price. Fast forward to 1967. The Metropolitan Museum of Art returns to the church a set of surviving papyrus fragments from Joseph's collection. Egyptologists, both LDS and non-LDS, agree these fragments are pieces of standard Egyptian funerary texts from about 300 and 100 BCE, not a narrative about Abraham. That's the tension. Late-dated papyrus, biblical patriarch who lived 1,500 years earlier. So does that mean the Book of Abraham can't be real? Not so fast. There are 2 main faithful frameworks here. First, there's a missing scroll theory. Eyewitnesses in Joseph's day, both friendly and hostile, described a long roll of papyrus as the source of the Book of Abraham. The fragments we have now were cut, mounted, and displayed separately in 1837. Those mounted pieces match what the Egyptologists translate today, but they were never identified by 19th century witnesses as the Abraham scroll. That long roll almost certainly destroyed in the Chicago fire of 1871. So if the Abraham text was on that lost portion, then of course it's not our surviving fragments. So the second theory is the catalyst theory. This one says the papyri acted as a trigger for revelation. Joseph may have believed the scrolls contained Abraham's writings, but the actual text came by inspiration, much like the book of Moses came while reading Genesis. God can and often does reveal ancient truths without the prophet holding the original document. Both theories have solid footing in LDS scholarship and are acknowledged in the Church's own Gospel Topics essay. Either way, the takeaway is the same. The text we have came through a prophet of God. So the next sticking point for some is that the Book of Abraham heading says it was written by his own hand upon papyrus. Sounds like Abraham himself penned it, right? Well, in ancient biblical usage, that phrase simply means authored by. Think of Paul signing a letter in my own hand, even though a scribe wrote it, and centuries later, copies still carry that line. The phrase is an authorship credit, not a timestamp on the physical scroll. And you can look at the paper we have linked to this, and you can read all about this and all of the details and all of the sources. However it came, the Book of Abraham is doctrinal dynamite. It teaches premortal existence, spirits organized before the world was. It reveals the grand council in heaven, with Christ chosen to redeem us. It expands the Abrahamic covenant and gives a unique creation account that aligns with temple teachings. These aren't French ideas, they're core restoration truths, and they didn't exist in Joseph's environment in 1835. If this was just guesswork, it's some of the most theologically rich, prophetically consistent guesswork in religious history. At the end of the day, the surviving papyri tell us something, but not everything. The missing scroll theory reminds us we don't have the whole artifact. The catalyst theory reminds us God isn't bound by artifacts at all. Both point to the same conclusion. The Book of Abraham stands as inspired scripture confirmed by the Spirit and consistent with the restoration's message. So instead of letting incomplete evidence shake our faith, we can let it refine our understanding and deepen our appreciation for how God works, sometimes in ways that are quite literally past finding out. That's all for today's Mormon Truth podcast. If you found this helpful, share it with a friend who has questions about the Book of Abraham. Take care.